After the school term ended, Bluey was signed up for a week-long creative workshop at a local children's center, held inside an old elementary school building. The place was solidly built with tall windows and long echoing hallways. It smelled of paper, dust, and damp plaster. Parents dropped off their kids for a few hours each day and left. Each morning followed the same pattern: crafts, drawing, quiet games. The main room was frozen in time. Old shelves, faded posters, taped up lockers. Most kids brought their own toys, but in the far corner stood a box of center-owned toys no one really touched. It sat near the window gathering dust. On the third day, Bluey opened the box. Beneath the soft blocks and rubber balls, she found a small fabric toy. Its shape was hard to define, part animal, part person. It had long ears, a stitched smile, and eyes made of black thread, one sewn on crooked. On its belly, a name had been embroidered in tiny letters: Labubu. From that day on, Bluey lost interest in other activities. She would sit alone in the corner with the toy, quietly staring at it. The other children quickly stopped asking her to join in. Labubu was always near, on the windowsill, on the desk, tucked into the back of her backpack. One afternoon, a teacher found a piece of paper in the toy box. On it, 7 short rules were written in neat, childish handwriting. They made little sense. Don't relocate, don't turn away, don't ask what's inside. At the bottom it read, "He doesn't like being forgotten." No one knew who wrote it. The note was thrown away. On the 5th day, the class ended early. One child was crying in the hallway. Another couldn't find their things. A few toys had gone missing. In the corner where Labubu had first appeared, 5 dolls were neatly arranged in a row, expressionless, arms twisted unnaturally, shoelaces tied tightly around their wrists. Bluey didn't come back on the 6th day. Staff said she had gone home early because she felt sick. But Chili and Bandit insisted they hadn't picked her up. Her belongings remained in the cubby room. On the bench in the front hallway sat Labubu, neatly placed with fresh embroidery on his back. "Take me if you remember the rules." The list was gone. The children were moved to a different room. The toy box was taken away. The room was locked. On the 7th day, the center didn't open. The curtains in that room had been drawn from the inside. When someone finally pulled them back, the room was empty. Labubu was no longer there. The family moves into Nana's countryside house for a few days while repairs are being done on their own home's roof. The house is old, wooden, with narrow hallways, rough walls, and creaky doors. Bandit once lived here as a child. Now the rooms smell of old paper and dried flowers. Bluey and Bingo are given a bedroom on the 2nd floor, with a large window overlooking the garden. In the corner stands a tall wooden wardrobe, almost reaching the ceiling. It feels too big for the room and is sealed with a stiff metal latch. The first day passes like a typical family trip. Bluey and Bingo run around the house, explore hidden spaces, and have a pretend picnic on the floor. In the evening, when the sun sinks behind the trees and the rooms grow cooler, Bluey notices that the wardrobe's latch is undone. One door stands slightly ajar. She peeks inside. On the bottom shelf sits a toy no one remembers, bringing a strange little creature with long ears, a stitched furry face, and a wide toothy grin. It has glass eyes and faded gray fabric worn in places. The toy is placed on a shelf among others and quickly forgotten. The next morning it's already on the floor near the window. No one admits to touching it. Bingo says she heard the wardrobe creaking during the night. Bluey shrugs it off as the wind. The day unfolds as usual, walks outside, games, lunch with Nana, reading on the veranda. But by evening the toy is in a new spot sitting near the door, as if listening to the hallway. On the 3rd day, 2 plush toys the girls usually sleep with are missing. Only this one remains. The parents assume they were taken to the laundry by mistake. Bingo says she can't sleep with the toy in the room. It breathes when it's dark. Bluey laughs, but that night she wakes up and hears faint creaking. She stays in bed but sees that the wardrobe door is open again. The toy is lying in the doorway facing her bed. From then on, Bluey wakes up more and more often. One night she walks to the wardrobe, presses her ear to the wood, and stands still for several minutes in the dark. The camera doesn't move. When she returns to bed, the toy is no longer on the floor, it's back on the shelf. Bingo notices that Bluey no longer plays with her. She just sits in the corner drawing strange images. Doors, staircases, figures with ears. One night, Bingo wakes up and sees Bluey slowly opening the wardrobe, climbing inside and closing the doors behind her. Moments later, the room is quiet again. When Bingo calls for her parents, they come upstairs and find Bluey in bed. She says she never left. but on the wardrobe floor lies a broken doll with no eyes. The next day, Bingo is gone. The parents search the house and garden. Bluey says she's not here anymore and turns her face to the wall. The wardrobe is empty except for the toy sitting on the bottom shelf. Next to it lies a child's drawing, showing 3 figures: Bluey, Labubu, and a faceless black shape. That evening the house falls silent. In the girls' room the curtains are closed. The wardrobe stands open. On the floor lies one final drawing, a wardrobe door, opened slightly from the inside and a single eye staring out. No one enters that room again. Evening at the healer house. The sun sets, painting the room in shades of orange. Bingo rummages through an old closet and finds a worn-out fairy tale book, dusty with yellowed pages and strange stains. The cover has darkened with faded letters, Eternal Tales. Bluey, look, this is a magical book with stories about friends from distant worlds, exclaims Bingo, her eyes sparkling. Bluey hesitates, feeling a chill but agrees. Let's read it. Maybe we can play games based on these tales. But no monsters. They settle on the carpet, open the book, and the words seem alive, as if whispering. First comes Peter Pan. Instead of the cheerful boy from the pages, a dark shadow bursts out with a hook instead of a hand, its silhouette trembling on the wall. Never grow up means forever trapped. It hisses, echoing. The room darkens, the air grows cold, shadows reaching like hooks grabbing their paws. Bluey feels herself sinking into the night of Neverland, where ghostly children call, "Join us, Bluey, fly into nowhere." Bingo shivers. This isn't fun, let's close it. The pages turn by themselves like dry leaves to Alice in Wonderland. The Cheshire Cat appears, mouth dripping with poison, its body dissolving, leaving only a grin. "Welcome to madness," it purrs. Furniture spins, mirrors reflect distorted sisters, their heads growing and shrinking. Bingo tries to close the book, but the pages stick to her paws, whispering, "Fall down the rabbit hole forever." Bluey feels dizzy. "Hold on, Bingo, it's not real, or is it?" With a snap, pages open to Snow White. The mirror comes alive, showing the queen with a cracked face and black eyes. "Eat the apple and sleep forever," it hisses, the air smelling of decay. Apples roll on the floor, turning into spiders with stingers. The sisters scream as the room turns into a forest of bones, heroes surrounding them. Peter with a hook, Alice with a grin, Snow White with an apple chanting, "Stay in the book, become part of us. Fairy tales don't let go." Pages flutter, pulling them into a whirl. The door bursts open, Bandit and Chili rush in at the screams. "What's happening, girls, are you okay?" Bandit shouts, slamming the book shut. The illusion breaks. Shadows vanish, furniture freezes, apples turn to dust. The sisters embrace their parents, tears streaming. "The book, it's alive," sobs Bingo. The book lies still with a new faded inscription. Fairy tales never end, they wait. The screen fades to the whisper of pages. The morning in the Healer household began as usual, filled with sunshine and laughter. Bluey and Bingo chased each other around the yard, while Bandit, their dad, sipped coffee on the veranda, watching them with a smile. Chili, their mum, joined him after finishing her morning tasks. Everything was perfect and familiar, but then an unusual parcel appeared on the porch. There was no return address, just a plain brown box as if hastily packed. Curiosity won out and Bandit opened it. Inside, to Bluey's utter delight, lay a brand new shiny figurine. It was a Labubu bright pink with its pointed ears and characteristic toothy bared grin. Bluey immediately snatched it up, hugged it close and named it Smiley. She was thrilled. Smiley instantly became her shadow. Wherever Bluey went, Labubu was there, on walks, during games, even sleeping beside her on her pillow. Her joy was infectious and her parents saw nothing wrong with it. However, very soon inexplicable things began to happen in the house. First, it was minor disappearances. Bandit's favorite pen, Chili's hair clip, Bingo's toy block. No one could figure out where these items went. Then, Bluey began complaining about quiet whispers coming from her room at night. She'd whisper to her parents that Smiley was talking to her, but Bandit and Chili dismissed it as a child's vivid imagination. One night, Bandit woke up feeling thirsty. On his way to the kitchen, he heard a strange scratching sound coming from the living room. Pausing, he cautiously peered into the gloom. In the faint moonlight, he saw Smiley the Labubu sitting on the rug. Its head was turned as if looking directly at Bandit and its toothy grin seemed unnaturally wide. Bandit blinked and the figurine was motionless again, seemingly in the exact same spot. He convinced himself he was just tired. But the unease grew. Bluey's behavior began to change. She became withdrawn, often retreating to a corner of the room, whispering to Smiley. Her usual boisterous games took a back seat. Now she preferred to sit still, stroking the figurine. At times, her eyes would look strangely vacant and her smile somehow mechanical. The tension peaked when Bingo, wanting to play, tried to take Smiley. For the first time, Bluey reacted with unseen aggression. She growled, snatched Labubu away and clutched it tightly, a cold, inhuman rage flaring in her usually kind eyes. Bingo cried out in fright. Chili and Bandit were genuinely scared. They decided the toy was having a bad influence on their daughter. Later that night, while Bluey was fast asleep, Bandit carefully took Labubu from her grasp. He intended to hide it away. The moment his fingers touched the plastic, he felt an icy coldness pierce his hand. And the figurine itself momentarily felt soft, like living flesh, pulsing beneath his touch. Labubu's grin seemed to widen even further, and its glass eyes briefly flashed with a dull red light. Bandit thought he heard a faint, mocking chuckle. Stunned and frightened, he dropped Labubu. The figurine hit the floor with a dull thud, but then to his horror it slowly swayed and stood upright. Its eyes were fixed directly on Bandit, and its smile, it was no longer just a smile. It was the grimace of a predator. Bandit, consumed by panic, snatched Labubu and without a second thought tossed it into the outdoor rubbish bin. He returned to the house, breathing heavily, and told Chili everything that had happened. They decided never to mention it to Bluey. The next morning, Bluey woke up. She immediately reached for the spot where Smiley should have been. When she realized it was gone, her face twisted not just with sadness but with something darker and more sinister. She slowly got up, walked to the window, and looked directly at the rubbish bin where Bandit had thrown Labubu the night before. A slow, chilling smile spread across her face, almost an exact replica of Labubu's grin. And in her eyes there was that same cold, inhuman glint. From that day on, Bluey was never quite the same. Sometimes when she plays, her gaze becomes empty, and her laughter sounds too sharp, almost alien. And if you look very closely into the shadows of her room, you might just catch a faint pink glimmer and two glowing points, watching from the darkness. They are waiting. There's a lost Bluey episode only whispered about. They call it The Staircase That Wasn't There. It aired once, maybe less. Some say it was never meant to air at all. The episode begins like any other. Bluey and Bingo are playing hide and seek in their house. Bandit counts loudly. Chili laughs from the kitchen. Everything feels normal. Until Bluey hides in a new place. A door under the stairs. A door that wasn't there before. It's small, barely big enough for her to crawl through. She hesitates, but Bingo finds her giggling. They both squeeze inside. On the other side, a staircase, leading down, much deeper than the house should allow. The walls are bare concrete. The air smells damp and cold. The steps seem to stretch forever into the dark. Bingo jokes maybe it goes to the center of the earth. Bluey laughs nervously. They descend, step after step. The light behind them fades. The house above seems to vanish. The further they go, the colder it gets, and the darker. Their voices echo strangely. The stairs twist and turn, sometimes leading sideways, sometimes looping. They find doors along the way, small wooden doors, each one slightly ajar. Behind them, things move, shapes, figures they can't quite see. Bingo gets scared. She begs to go back. Bluey agrees, but when they turn around, the staircase behind them looks different. The steps are cracked, broken. The path they came from, gone. Only more stairs leading down. They keep walking. They pass a window set into the stone wall. Outside it shows their house, but wrong. The sky is red. The trees are twisted. No one is there, just emptiness. Bingo starts crying. Bluey promises to find a way back. They keep going, down, always down. Hours seem to pass, days maybe. Their paws hurt, their voices weaken, but the stairs never end. Finally they see another door, this one made of heavy metal. Without thinking they push it open. Behind it, a hallway. Familiar, the hallway of their home, but too quiet, too still. They step inside. The door slams shut behind them. They run to their room. Their beds are there, their toys, but the windows show nothing outside, only endless black. The final scene shows Bluey and Bingo lying in bed, wide-eyed, listening. In the distance, the sound of slow, heavy footsteps. climbing the stairs, getting closer. The screen fades to black. No music, no voices, only the sound of steps, never stopping.